Welcome one, welcome all. You have reached the Running Through the Jungle crew here with our roaring reactions after finally getting off the schneid on a Monday Night Football game in Dallas as the Bengals win 27-20. I'm your host, Brandon Harriet, here with your host, Tim Lyons and Justin Lacey. What's going on, gentlemen?
What to do? If you know what, I just want to say this real quick. Last night's win felt like our first win all year long. I don't know why, but it just felt that way.
Yeah, sure. For myself, man, it looked like that on the field too.
Right.
Yeah. There was definitely some relief, and if you listen to the post-game news conferences we'll get into, that definitely was embraced. Justin, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, man. Great to be back with you guys here. I know that I missed out on the Run Through the Jungle show that we guys recorded during the pregame talk. So it's nice to kind of join forces again as we're doing a reaction show. Yeah, Monday night's game was, a lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of ugly. But at the end of the day, we got the dub, and you know what? We can live to fight another week.
Yeah, listen, I got my reactions going to be posted on here twice on our wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Apple, Google, we're all over those places. But I was on the No Cap Recap with our guys Pay and Pay Saunders and Kevin Tate. I was on there with them and talked about it because when they had this idea of going on Monday night after Monday Night Football, going live and doing a wrap up of all of the NFL games and their takes on it, they asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said, you knew better to even ask me the question. You know, I'm asleep by halftime on most of these games on Monday nights. But this one I stayed up for, man. I stayed up. We had a bet going on between me and Mod over at the Know-It-Alls. And I'm happy to say that this year, Cooper Rush is not making me don a Dallas Cowboys hat for an entire episode. So Mod will have to wear his Bengals stripes at some point in time here in the next couple of weeks. He says he's going to get done for us before Christmas. That'll be my Christmas gift from Mod. I'm taking it, but it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. It was on the No Cap Recap. I said, listen, still saw the same old problems. I still called our offense the entire game. I said, I'm far from. They'll have a little bit more football knowledge because of the amount I get into it and watch and the tape I watch and all that stuff than the normal person. Yeah, I'm confident saying that. Am I a savant that should call off 90% of the plays before they happen? No. And in the same way, there was a lot of patterns with the Dallas Cowboys. I don't recall one time that Cooper Rush checked out of a call and killed the play that he did not run the ball. I don't remember killing a play and going to a pass. And if you saw later in the game, when he killed a play, we saw linebackers calling for the safeties to come up, like was getting waved up. I don't know if you saw that. Because I think they saw the same thing. So both of these teams, I thought the game plans were a little lackluster. CD Lamb's banged up, got an AC joint in the shoulder. And I don't know if you've ever done anything with those. I have not. Doesn't feel great. It's hard to sleep, as a matter of fact. And they kept running the ball with him several times. I thought that was odd. You don't want him landing on his shoulder. And they kept running the ball with him. So some odd play calling, some odd coaching. And listen, at the end of the day, the way I look at it, Bengals had to get lucky to win this game too. The muff punt, that's the telltale sign in this game to me is the muff punt. But there were some good things, man. We did some good things. Okay, I thought we had some bright spots on defense, but definitely some bright spots on offense. So I'm going to save the offense for after the break, because I think we should end on a high note with that because there's some good offensive stuff to talk about. So let's talk about defense first. Justin, I'll let you start it off for us. What was your overall take of the defense, how they played, and what they did? And if you want to give us a defensive game ball while you're at it, hand it out.
I want to start by giving my defensive game ball to Joseph Osai just because he finally notched another sack, and that's if you've been following the Bengals website, that's 3 consecutive games with the sack now, and that's pretty much a testament to him. Although I'm not going to really put too much stock and emphasis on a sack that he got last week against Pittsburgh, just because I felt like that the overall beeviness of that situation was no pressure was given on Russell Wilson, and that was like a place that a play that he gave up, and he just touched him down. But this one, he actually full on got the sack and got the pressure, and it was really
from
nice.
The inside.
He got him on the inside, and that was really nice. And see what happens when you put Sam Hubbard on the bench for some of these reps. So I'm speaking to directly Lou Anarumo on that one, because guys like Myles Murphy and Joseph Osai can show you that they can get after the passer if you give them consistent snap counts. We still don't know what we got in Trey Hendrickson. I'm sorry, not Trey. We still don't know what we got in Myles Murphy, but we do know that Trey Hendrickson is still a badass. I did put out a tweet because he was just a disappearing act for the last few games. Hey, we haven't really seen him since he had notched his 4-sack performance against the Raiders. He hadn't really got after the passer much, and that's not because of him. It was because it was easy to divide up a game plan just to take him out of the game for the most part. And then when it came down to finishing, you saw him right there, and he got another sack. So that was overall very impressive. So my game ball obviously is going to go to Joseph Osai, but here's the overall totality that I'm going to speak regarding the defense. I haven't learned anything new. This is still a bad defense. This is still an undisciplined defense. And yes, I understand that they made some plays. I understand that Geno Stone, he had his best game as a Bengal, but he's still not a great player overall. And this was still a huge whiff and a huge miss as a free agent signing. The interception that he did get, he was just in the right place at the right time, but that was really Cam Taylor-Britt's interception that he just bobbled and, muffed, so to speak, that just happened to land in Geno Stone's lap, and you almost thought that it was going to get ruled incomplete because the ball did touch the ground. But nonetheless, I still feel like that they were really soft against the run, and I understand that some guys didn't play, like Chris Jenkins Jr. didn't really get enough snap counts, but I still feel like that every time Rico Dowell for Dallas, the running back, every time that he got the handoff, I always just kept worrying that he was going to break a long one because it looked like he was so close. Him and Chase Brown, I know we're not getting into offense, but him and Chase Brown really were the X factors of this game for me, respectively. But Rico Dowell was really helpful and beneficial to kind of help levying out the playing field for Cooper Rush, who, let's just kind of keep it real. Cooper Rush is not that great. I understand Bengals fans want to put a lot of stock into what he did in 2022 when we faced the Cowboys in week 2, but that was a much different defense back then. This Cowboys offense and this Cowboys team overall is not very good. And quite frankly, that defense of the Bengals needed to play better. But stopping them to 20 points was just not impressive to me. Again, I still feel like that they were undisciplined at times. There was
gap integrity does not exist with this defense.
It absolutely does not. And then Jermaine Pratt, again, I understand he made a nice play in the second half, getting a tackle for loss finally. But he missed a huge open, like a tackle on CeeDee Lamb that would have knocked him like 2 or 3 yards shy of the line of scrimmage, a 2 or 3 yard loss. And it ended up being a breakaway speed now thing for CeeDee Lamb of going like for 43 yards on that play. It's ridiculous the amount of times that I've seen this defense, and I'm like, how many times are we going to keep getting missed tackles? Every time I kept watching this defense and the Cowboys offense make plays like certain runs, I was thinking like, yep, of course that's going to happen. Yep, of course that happens. And
Rico Dowdle, to your point, averaged 7.3 yards a carry.
And the crazy part about it is they stuck with him through the run, even when they got behind. When they started off the second half, they knew
was
that
working too well not to.
They were going well. Let's pause for a second, because Mike McCarthy could have easily coached that team out of control. He really could have. But what he saw was exactly what you just said, Brandon. He was playing a little bit too well not to. And the problem was that he got too jumpy and too fidgety once the Bengals offense scored and took the lead. And he felt like that, oh, man, he had an answer. And then, boom, back-to-back 3 and outs. That was not a reflection of the defense. That was a reflection of the offense trying to be too much pressing. In the start of the second half, in the third quarter, you saw the Dallas offense on their first possession go right down the field. get another touchdown, and it was deja vu all over again. It was like, okay, yeah, I get it. The Bengals defense did get stops here and there, and they did both their necks. But if I'm being truly honest with myself, I was more impressed with the Dallas Cowboys defense going against our offense, sending all the pressure, more so against our defense going against their piss poor offense. And I just come to the conclusion of, look, it was solid, it was good enough to get the job done. But I think I still come away from thinking to myself that, yeah, we're still going to need new leaders on this side of the ball. And quite frankly, I still don't know who to hang my hat on as far as long-term development wise, outside of maybe Trey Hendrickson. I still don't know who I can kind of tip my hat on. Is that, all right, I know we're going to have you on this team moving forward next year.
Yeah, listen, that Dallas defense before Overshown got injured, I really like the way he plays.
Oh my goodness, man! Yes, he was.
I feel bad for him. I hope he can bounce back. He's had some bad luck as far as, but man, he flies around the ball, doesn't he? He's had some bad luck with injuries, but he is tough. Difference maker for them for sure.
Sure, definitely. And you know what? Micah Parsons, I know we'll get back into the offense on the second half, but look, man, Micah Parsons, man, I understand that his stat line didn't say what it needed to say, but man, he was still affecting our offensive line like it was crazy. Their defense compared to our defense, in my eyes, kind of was a little bit more impressive when you think about the degree of difficulty that they had to go against versus what our defense had to go against. And I'll just end it on that part.
You know, and I think when they made an adjustment, because it started off, they thought, you know, hey, we're going to put him over the rookie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where he was the majority of the first half of this game. And Amarius Mims, to his credit, I mean, he did give up a sack or a hit at least on an inside move, but got no help on a double team from the guard and center, just stood there. So I'm not going to completely blame him for that. I thought he played better against Parsons than I thought he would. And I thought they were really going to take advantage of him. Now, as soon as they started moving him around, got him over to Cody's side of the ball, you started seeing some more pressure for sure. He whiffed on him a couple times. But yeah, I think it's some great takeaways from you. I did, there were a couple. I like the fact that they put in Osai inside during on a obvious pass down. That was great. I like that they rotated some of the younger guys in more, which we've been yelling for I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks. I'll clean this up for YouTube, but I did send a text message at one point in time to Tim. I said, who in the hell is Marco Wilson and why is he already better than CTB?
Yeah, claimed from New England. I remember when we made that claim.
Oh, is that who that was? Because I didn't know who he was. I was like, I don't know.
Wilson, claimed from the Patriots.
I thought he played pretty well.
He played awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Big E Bronco. That would be music to my ears, my man. Pittsburgh goes on a 4-game losing streak. I've got a bet over on the Steel Curtain Network with Big G. I got them back-to-back losses. So we bet the games individually against I think it's the Eagles and the Ravens. So I said these birds are gonna put a hurting on them. Tim, what's your overall takeaway? Who are you giving your defensive game ball to?
My defensive game ball is going to go to Trey Henderson. He got that final sack. He sealed the deal. Now, that being said, we got a couple, the defense is the defense. The defense hasn't changed. I know at one point in time in the night, I sent you a text message that said, I see they didn't, learn to tackle during this time either then, So, tackling has just been a huge issue with the Cincinnati Bengals. Dwaddle, Dodal, whatever the hell his name is.
Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, tore us up. He's going to be a great –
he's going to have a good year next year, man.
Yeah, he's going to be a great running back.
Look for him on your fantasy boards.
Yeah, he's going to be a great running back for the Cowboys. He did a great job.
That offensive line's been really banged up, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, the Bengals, we had 3 sacks. We had an interception. We had like 3 or 4 tackles for losses.
That interception was a Christmas gift.
I know.
Miracle.
And I know how we all feel about Geno Stone. I was calling for him to be cut after that interception because, this Geno Stone project has not been working. This whole defensive project's not been working. The only defender we have on the whole damn defense is Trey Hendrickson. He's the only defender that can get to the, that can actually get pressure on the quarterback. But there was a couple times where Trey Hendrickson, his tackling wasn't the best either. He should have gotten the sack or got a tackle for loss, but he missed the tackle. But whatever, it is what it is. It's the typical, our typical Bengals defense.
A couple of those he was held on.
Yeah, you're right.
Held like crazy, man. He held like crazy.
You're right. And I love Trey Hendrickson. I think Trey Hendrickson was a great, my buddy here, Bar HRM. That's my buddy Brian Robert. He is a diehard Saints fan. He loved Trey Hendrickson when he was with the Saints. And when we got him, he was like, oh my gosh, you guys got a beast. And we did. We got a beast. Unfortunately, that's the only person that we get pressure from. Other than that, it was the same Bengals defense. Yeah, we got some, some punts going, but it was against the Cowboys. We were playing against another bad team. So it wasn't like we were doing anything, out of the ordinary. So, yeah, my game ball, though, Trey Hendrickson.
Do you guys remember in the offseason we did our favorite Bengals of all time? Do you remember who my favorite Bengal is?
David Fulcher.
David Fulcher. You know how sick it makes me to see a safety that doesn't like to tackle?
Oh, it's awful. It's awful for me because
God, come up and hit somebody, man.
We grew up in the football world.
Ronnie Lott,
Brian Dawkins, Sean Taylor, Polamalu, Pat Tillman, those guys,
Steve Atwater.
They would just destroy.
There you go, Big E Bronco. I gave you a Bronco for you, buddy.
It was a job. It was. I remember it was Atwater versus Christian Okoye. They just wanted to kill each other when it came into those holes. Christian Okoye and Atwater came in, and they would just murder them. These days, I don't know what's going on. I don't have a clue.
66, the OSU. Oh, sorry about that one. Hilton is far more productive blitzing and in Pat's coverage. Hendrickson is a force of nature. Both good takes. I think Hilton, there's a step missing from him.
He's getting old.
Yes, correct. But he is still aggressive. I still like it when they use him in those, in the blitz packages and things like that. Yeah. And I agree with it's a great take, honestly. For me, I said I like getting some of those younger guys in. We need to see what we got. Mm-hmm. I saw glimpses, but the bottom line is the getting out, the not tackling, a safety that doesn't want to tackle, getting out of gap integrity. You look at Rico Dowdle, 130 some yards rushing on 18 carries. And I'm not kidding you, on 4 or 5 carries that we stayed with gap integrity, immediately saw a gain of 3 yards or less, and still gashed us on the rest of those plays, right? On the other 13 or 14 plays, it gashed us. The part that's driving me crazy is it's not the young guys getting out of gap integrity. You don't see, McKinley Jackson rotating in or Chris Jenkins, or those guys aren't getting out of gap integrity. It's not. It's the veterans. Like, what are you doing? And you're not athletic enough anymore. Sam Hubbard's not athletic enough to go 7 yards past the quarterback and get back into the play.
Right.
That's not going to happen. Stop doing that. If it's not a stunt, don't swim back inside and go on the other side of the defensive tackle. What are you doing?
Yeah. And so is Jermaine Pratt, too. Like, this is where I keep saying that I feel like that at the end of the day, I still need to be able to see new leaders develop on this team at some point in future years to come. Because it's not guys like Jermaine Pratt anymore. It's not guys like Sam Hubbard. It was never a guy like Geno Stone, and it's damn sure not Von Bell, who can't even see the field no more because he has shown that he has passed his prime and too slow. I've watched way too many times in that these guys and these DBs and these linebackers are taking poor angles when it comes to trying to make tackles, and they just get whipped. They're too slow to catch up, and it just seems like that by the time that they get to the second, even the third level at this point, Now you see somebody makes that like Geno Stone. He knocks a guy out of bounds before the touchdown pass to, what was that, Brandon Cooks? That was because of a huge whiff on Jermaine Pratt, and then Geno Stone just bumped him out of bounds finally, just because we criticized Geno Stones for not making those plays in the past. He does it because it was obvious to do it at that point. But at the end of the day, man, this defense, I still have not changed my stance on this defense, and it's never. And we don't need to be putting blinders on overall just because we got to win.
Agreed.
Had that punt block not happened the way that it happened, had that would have been just a regular punt, do you honestly believe that the Bengals defense would have been able to bow their necks and close the game out when it was 20-20? The only reason why they were able to do that at that moment was because the muffed blunt. Blocked punt. I said that. I got that all incorrect. The muffed blocked punt that went the Bengals' way took all the remaining air out of the rest of the Dallas Cowboys sideline and the defense, and they knew the game was over. The Bengals got rewarded a brand new opportunity in life, and they got the win. Had that just been a normal regular punt, do you trust to believe that the defense would have been able to hold a stop? Because guess what? They have one of the most accurate and the most stronger leg kickers in the league this year.
Oh yeah, he's money.
Man, you know for a fact he was going to make another game-winning field goal in that spot. Yeah. I just don't believe that this defense have found I don't feel like that they found this magic of light, and I like that Lou put him in some position.
Glimpses. I did not see steady production. And listen,
what they did in the past, not what they could be.
My last point is this: our defensive tackles, when it's Hill and Jenkins, I sit back in my chair. If those two guys aren't together, I'm on pins and needles, because we just get pushed around a lot if it's not those two guys. So that's the last take with that defense. But I agree with you. And the punt block, did you see who made that block?
I can't even remember who made the block because I was just too busy.
Was Vigil?
Nick Vigil.
Yeah, yeah, they kept saying it. Nick Vigil. And it was so
ex-Bengal, Nick Vigil.
Somebody had stated that Nick Vigil did something that finally cursed the Bengals and rewarded the Bengals at the same time.
For sure.
Oh my goodness, that was funny. I didn't even know he was still in the league until that punt block.
I don't think anybody did. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We got the defense out of the way. By the way, my game ball is going to go to Trey Hendricks. And listen, I think Joseph Ossai is a good take there. Trey Hendricks, I think, put more pressure on, and I predicted him to be the defensive game ball, so I'm gonna stick with that one. Me and Tim both took Hendrickson. But thank you for rocking with us as usual. We appreciate you guys. If you have not already, hit that thumbs up, hit that bell. Like, subscribe, rate, review, give us those 5 stars. Share button is the most important button on your screen right now. So share us, tell a friend to tell a friend about us. More the merrier. We get all your Bengals, AFC North, and NFL news here. We cover it the heck out of football. We love football. Obviously, we are a long-suffering Bengals fans. But other than that, football is loved here. So we'll be right back after we hear from our partners these messages, and we will be back shortly. Fine, I was muted. Welcome back to the Roaring Reactions on the Running Through the Jungle Network. We appreciate you guys rocking with us as usual. Big shout out over here, 66 of the OSU, Biggie Bronco. We've had a couple other guys. What was your guys' name over here?
Brian Roberts. He was the
Brian. Thanks for rocking with us.
Yeah.
Saints fan, the Aints.
But he has a little bit of a soft spot for the Bengals too. So, because of Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, got to, man. Trey's a beast.
And Von Bell. Von Bell played for the Saints too. So.
Very true. Also, to Sheldon Rankins too, but
Yeah.
Sheldon Rankins should play for the Bengals.
He should.
Okay.
Although I do
Segue.
want to.
I want to see him in the streets, so I want no trouble.
I do want to say this though, because I had to hear from other external sources that he actually really is battling a serious illness. So, and it's not just milking the clock to not play and still get his money. It really is a serious thing from what I'm hearing. But nonetheless, man, I do put prayers up for him and hope that he gets healthy and whatnot. Obviously, it hasn't worked out with him on the field prior to this illness or whatnot, but just wanted to extend good graces as well too. Now for his play, it's been bad, but whatever.
Yeah, get healthy. That's the most important thing
exactly.
At this point. Listen, it's Sheldon Rankins, good player, solid player. Not going to save this defense the way it looks right now.
No.
Yeah, it could be bad. All right, let's talk about the offense though. A little more bright spot. We can turn the lights up a little bit higher for this one. The offense, gentlemen. Still looking good, putting up some gaudy numbers. Tim, what was your takeaway from the offense? Who's your game ball? Your surprises? What'd you like? What you didn't like?
I'm gonna say it again. I know I've said it in the past. I'm gonna say it again. Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. He is the best. The Bengals are gonna have a hard time when it comes to paying that man. They're gonna have to pay him some ducats because he's the triple crown right now. 15 touchdowns so far. He just had 177 yards. Yesterday, 2 touchdowns. He's just the greatest. He's the greatest wide receiver in the game right now. Jamar Chase is my game ball as well. I'm just gonna say that as well. Jamar Chase. He's playing out of his mind. You could literally give him the ball, throw a 1-yard pass to him, and he's going to break that bad boy. He's going to break it. Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I really think that the Jamar Chase greatness that we're seeing right now, because it is great, is probably going to hinder re-signing somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. $40 million is my guesstimate for Chase. He's going to get close to it. He's definitely going to get. If he's going to get 38,
I'm giving
Jamar
Chase a blank check, bro. I'm like, here you go, buddy.
T. Higgins ain't going to get 25 mil or something like that after that,
unless the Bengals can do some kind of creative accounting. T. Higgins is it's the only way T. Higgins ends up on this roster next year. That's the only thing. But anyways,
listen, Biggie Bronco says T. Higgins going to be a Bronco next year. I think T. Higgins should go somewhere warm weather. Maybe that will help him keep those hamstrings loosened up or those quadriceps, because soft tissue injuries is following this man right now, and I feel terrible for him about it.
And I saw the New England Patriots said they're going to give him the world to get him over there in New England.
That's cold.
So, yeah. But anyways, so let's continue with my offense. My offense, like I said, Jamar Chase had a great game. Joe Burrow had a great game minus his interception and his fumble, strip sack fumble, but that was also a face mask. But that's besides the point.
Whew, was it ever?
Chase Brown, did what Chase Brown does. I love, he's. I know I said it last week or the week before. I don't know what the hell it was. Unfortunately, it took Zach Moss getting injured for him to be RB1. But I still believe in my whole heart, that Chase Brown was going to end up being running back number 1 anyways.
I think we all agree.
Yeah. T. Higgins, got a couple targets. The offensive line looked not too good.
Little shaky.
I know Volson had a couple holding penalties. Yeah, Mims had we had some holding penalties going on because, they got those dogs coming to eat. So, but other than that, the Bengals, Joe Burrow and the offense and those guys, they looked good. I'll say they look good. Again, Joe Burrow throws for over 300 freaking yards, a couple touchdowns. Jamar Chase over 177 yards receiving. It was a
14 catches and 2 tutties.
Yeah, it was a good offense. I was impressed. So that's it. That's it for me.
So Mims, I expect to get a couple of tackle holds against Micah Parsons. You're going to have that. I wasn't upset with that, but man, our guard play continues to be. Say what it is. Kappa and Karras have done a solid job for us and been good, and really, look where our offensive line was before them in 2020-21. They did shore up things for a while, but they're starting to get long in the tooth, and it's starting to get time to get a game plan to replace some of these guys, right? But other than that, the offense, I thought a bubble screen is dangerous when you got number one out there. I'll say that for sure. Justin, take away on the offense, my man.
Okay, so I'm not going to be as glowingly like positive over the offense like you guys have been. And also, I want to pump the brakes on the T. Higgins disrespect here because, Joe did go out of his way to mention him a lot in the press conference, saying that he's going to do everything he can to get this guy back. And I think that they should, just because you don't want to force another glaring hole on this roster when there's already many glaring holes. We don't want to Jesse Bates the situation with T. Higgins, but that's future talk. I get it. We're not going to get into the full contract breakdown of the T. Higgins discussion right now. We don't need to do that. But the offense is going to be this. It's why most of the people tuned in this Monday Night Football game to watch Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in this offense. That is their number one reason. Obviously, the Simpsons thing was actually a pretty cool little thing if you kind of saw it. It was a nice, cool little feature. I'd rather watch the highlights, but primarily you tuned into that Monday night game because of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. That's it, okay? It was really nice to see the emergence of Chase Brown because we've already spoke about it and his potential throughout the year, and he's shown flashes and he's done this, but it was really nice to kind of see it on display on Monday night again. He's also done it against the Chargers too as well. Like, he's always had his moments, but the running game is not
123 total yards and a touchdown.
But the running game in general has not been consistent enough, even when he gains a nice little average. Like, they'll run the ball on first down and get it to second and short, but then they're passing, and then it's continuously passing. Now, that formula and that blueprint does work until you start getting guys that get strapped up. This was this was just simply Joe and the Jamar Chase special, more or less just Jamar Chase special, who is obviously going to be my game ball recipient of the game. No, that's obviously a no-brainer there. Again, 14 catches, 177 yards, including the game winner touchdown, 2 touchdowns at that. Man, the dude just continuously just to soar throughout all different kinds of numbers here. He is well on his way of getting that Triple Crown, and I hope he does maintain this level of play and does get that. I don't even care if he gets the Offensive Player of the Year award. If you got a losing record, it's not going to happen, but he deserved that title just in that of it itself. That's going to probably notch him into that Hall of Fame category one day. Joe Burrow is just he's still Joe. But here's my issue that I have with this offense, okay? And this is obviously not telling that it's not indicative of Joe and Jamar. We know how special they are. But this offense is still inconsistent. Listen to me, Bengals fans. If you are in the camp of you need to move on, that you can keep Zach Taylor, but move on from defense coordinator Lou Anarumo, I urge you to strongly reconsider that notion and think about it from a bigger picture. This offense still does not have the ability to close out games. They finally did it when they got rewarded the golden opportunity with being able to continue to drive after the blocked muffed punt. Okay. If that blocked punt did not happen in the way that it happened and Dallas retained the ball, we're going to be yet again talking about another situation where the offense had a chance to close out the game and they ended up being a holding penalty here, an incomplete here, a drop here, a sack here, and then now a blocked punt. That's the last time Joe sees the ball when you had the opportunity to just wipe the floor with the Cowboys defense like you did in the first half and again in the second half. He do for a lot of yards, but at the end of the day, I don't want to get so centered on the focus of the yardage total that the offense is accumulating when the fact is that they still have an inconsistent running game. T. Higgins was kind of a no-show on 2 catches for 9 yards. He got a third down. He did catch a third down pass in the red zone that helped him get the scoring drive with Jamar Chase's first touchdown. It was nice, but at the end of the day, this was more so about Jamar Chase and elevating the offense along with Joe more than just T disappearing. I felt like that Joe tried to look for T, but T was getting blanket a little bit with guys like Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs in coverage. I felt like that the only other option that he truly had to go to the ball was Jamar, and that was his guy. So with that being said, I'm not really sold on what the offense have produced, although I like that we're scoring a lot of points. But this game honestly should have been a bigger margin of victory for the Bengals if they were going to send this kind of message, like a 34-17 type of win. But the Bengals offense continues to just like stall out in certain spots, the defense did do them favors in the second half. You know, we did criticize defense a lot in the first segment of the show, but I will sit there and say that the defense actually did the offense much more favors, but the offense just didn't capitalize. And we've seen this thing time and time and again. And that's where I'm a little bit more critical right now because I have higher expectations for this Bengals offense right now, especially with Joe and Jamar on your team and the way that they've been playing. There's been too many times where we've gone long-winded in the tooth that they haven't closed out games when the opportunity was there, dating back to week 1 against the Patriots, week 2 against the Chiefs, week 5 against the Ravens, week 10 against the Ravens. The list keeps going on and on. This past time against the Chargers, you know, we've seen this so many times to where, yes, the defense is bad, but the offense also had its moments where they can overcome and capitalize, and they just haven't done it yet. And I'm glad that the ball bouncing away in the football gods was like, okay, you guys suffered enough. We'll give you guys a win here. But at the end of the day, the play calling is still odd. And quite frankly, I still have issues with inconsistency and not being able to close out games. That's the thing that you cannot have when you go into future years, when you start looking to rebuild this thing up. If you are going to make a out of the prediction playoff push, and let's say you finish the season 9-8 and you get rewarded the 7th seed, do you think that this offense is trustworthy enough to be able to sustain with the bigger dogs? Because I can't consider the Bengals a big dog, even though Joe and Jamar, them individually are big dogs, but the offense as a whole is just not there. And it's very frustrating to watch that game and be like, they should be up by way more scores than this, but they're just not.
Let's look at a pie here for a second, Justin. I'm gonna challenge you here to make this pie chart. Give me some percentage of blame. You mentioned, right, run game. You mentioned offensive line. You mentioned the coaching, and some of those other play calling, some stuff. Like, where do you think percentage of blame? Where's the majority of the blame lay in your eyes, and what else? Like, who else is the close second?
It's going to be the coaching for me is the majority of the blame. It will always really be the coaching at this point. They've shown me so many times that they can't be relied upon when it comes to this type of situation. Situational football continues to rear Zach Taylor's ugly head. Again, we got away with one last night.
They only run, for the most part, in obvious running downs, FYI.
In running downs.
Obvious running times when you're trying to run out the clock and stuff.
Yes, and
that's when it is.
And it's not just Zach Taylor. And again, I know that nobody's putting a damn pitcher out there with pitchforks and calling for his head just because it's a first-year offensive coordinator. He gets to pair himself with Joe Burrow. He's worked with him for a while.
He doesn't call the plays.
He doesn't call the plays, but yet at the end of the day, he's there for installments. And again, this is not anything to criticize every levels of coaching. This is the main pillars that we all know that's problems. The offensive line coaching and the run game coordination is an absolute failure. It continues to be a blunder. And for the how many games are we going to see Joe Burrow take late hits after hits hits, and nobody helps him
toss play before Tim is going to end up breaking.
I saw that toss play, and I just thought about how many
that toss play. That toss play had me so angry. I was like, why? I was like,
it ended
why?
up being another, a 3-yard loss on that play?
3 or 4 yard loss. I text Brandon. I said, Brandon, didn't Zach Taylor listen to me? Don't run that toss play. They're going to get killed. And that's what happened.
Old man River pulling.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
And then there was times where screens got blown up where they could have just simply just ran the ball and he would have gotten, even if it would have been no gain. But if you would have just stuck with the run after that first down, but in second down, you want to get cute and then try to divide up a nice little play. Again, all of the pass plays are awesome and nice and all, and it garners up Joe Burrow stat numbers and stat pads, all those stuff. And I love that. I love seeing Joe Burrow get 300 plus yards a game, 3 tutties a game, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm not satisfied with the play calling, the situational football, the protection schemes, the run game coordination. All of that is a problem for me. So the big percentage of the proponent of blame goes directly to the coaching staff because they do not set their best players up for success. It's more so this game was defined by Joe and Jamar just looking at each other and say, like, we got to do what we can to win this game and not put the manners into other people's hands.
Yeah. I'll give you a big percentage. I 100% agree with you. Yeah. I put most of the blame there on that coaching as well. The play calling, you guys are in the text chain. I don't understand it. Like, run the ball. At one point in time, going into the fourth quarter, they had 9 rushes for 46 yards.
It was 10.
It was 9 when I first sent it. When I first
9
sent
or
it.
10. Yeah.
Austin's Art, thanks for hanging with us again. Double A. I like the new logo as well.
Yeah, that's a good logo.
Looking good. Yeah, I 100% agree. The play calling's got to change. I don't think as far as the effectiveness of Chase Brown and effectiveness of the run game, I'm not upset with it. I think Chase Brown is a good back. I think we have some good things going on. If we get rid of the toss, please get rid of the toss. Get it out of the playbook. Other than that, I'm happy with it. The stretch play, we were actually running better now. The stretch, because we have a running back that runs out of a stretch play. Mixon, when that wasn't his strength. His strength is foot in the dirt, one cut and go, right? I like Chase Brown in that stretch play. And I have a hard time, listen, they blow up the screenplay and Burrow throws it at their feet, get rid of the ball. I have a hard time really putting blame or onus on that one. I think you still take your shots on those because you have two guys, Chase and Chase. Chase Brown or Jamar Chase can take a bubble screen to the house at any point in time. Those guys are fast and really good in space like that. So I get why they're taking those. I will say this. I've heard a lot of, oh, look at your running game and blah, blah, blah. And Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is averaging 4.3 yards a carry in Houston, having a great season. But it's because of the attempts. Because Chase Brown right now is averaging 4.4 yards a carry. He just doesn't get the attempts.
And if the Bengals had a better record, will we really be continuously keep bitching and moaning about the Joe Mixon should have stayed here kind of argument?
I never complained about it one time. I think you're right.
Most of us on this show was pretty much adamant and understood that the Bengals needed to move on from Joe Mixon because the philosophy of the running style that fits what Joe Burrow does with this offense just it wasn't there. It was moving past that phase, and we wanted Joe Mixon to be successful. We knew it wasn't going to be here. But yes, you guys are correct. Like, you're right, man. All we're seeing is just this more complaining about Joe Mixon, and instead of like, look, let's just appreciate what Joe Mixon was here. And be happy for him that he's doing well in Houston. We got our own problems that we got to fix here in Cincinnati, and that doesn't mean that we didn't want Chase Brown here, or starting. Oh my gosh!
The problem with our run game ain't got nothing to do with number 28. Ain't got nothing to do with number 30.
It's the coach.
The number is 70. 70% of the time you throw the damn ball.
Mm-hmm.
That should go to 60. I'm not saying it should go to 50-50. It should be closer to 60. Don't throw the ball over 2/3 of the time. Stop.
Right.
It's frustrating. Let's throw some of these numbers out here. We've mentioned it. Chase 14, 177, 2 touchdowns. Chase Brown, who I picked to be my game ball recipient.
Who did I pick? I don't even remember.
You picked Gesicki. I've got to give him a participation trophy. I can't give him the game ball. Chase Brown, 123 total yards and a touchdown. Good, not good enough with Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow, 33 of 44, 369. Again, I'm not saying that this number shouldn't be 35 pass attempts. I'm not saying it shouldn't be 38. 44 is a little much. 369, 3 touchdowns. The interception was pretty not good. The fumble, I mean, if a 280, 300-pound man was ripping my head off, I'd probably let go of the ball too. I don't understand why they continue. That quarterback is one of the top tier quarterbacks in the league. I've said it for 2 years now. There's 3 on their own tier. And I understand that we have Lamar Jackson winning MVPs and whatever. I've got 3. I've got Mahomes, I've got Allen, and I've got Joe Burrow. Those 3 are on one tier. The next tier is real close to them. Lamar's there. There's a couple other guys that sprinkle in there, but they're not there. They're not those 3. Those 3 can change the game quick, in my mind.
Yeah, but my tier is not the same as your tier because mine would be Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. I appreciate what Lamar Jackson's doing because of, I understand Josh Allen's having a good year this year.
Great.
But if you're looking at his turnover rating last year,
Lamar's right there too. I do have trust issues. I do have trust issues with both of them.
Anyways, right. Go ahead. I'll shut up.
You're right though. It's a fair assessment, and I'm not mad at anybody that switches those guys out. But
1 through 4 is pretty much Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar. However you want to rank them, who cares? Outside,
that's the Mount Rushmore. That's the Mount Rushmore.
Yes, those are the Mount Rushmore, and then there's a gap. Okay, like let's just not kid ourselves at this point anymore. Like if you want to argue for the guys like Hurts and Herberts and all that stuff, cool. I get it. I understand it.
But Jared Goff is this year. Jared Goff is
getting closer. You're right.
He's getting pretty damn close because when he gets on a roll. Well, the thing is with Jared Goff, when he gets on a roll, he throws like 17 for 17 and just torches mother.
What do you think Burrow would do with that offensive line?
That's exactly what I was about to say.
If he had all day to throw the ball, hell yeah, he'd torch everybody.
The top four guys of the Mount Rushmores will kill it in that Lions offense along with it. But yeah, I'm giving props to Jared Goff too and what he's been doing as well. But yeah.
So Big E, Bronco, Patrick Mahomes leading the league in interceptions. Okay.
He's also 12-1.
He's having a bad season. I get it, but I trust him to make the play when he needs to. And I think that this is a little bit of I'm not going to let an off season take him out of that tier for me.
But the thing is with Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes' regular season is different from Patrick Mahomes during the playoff season.
Agreed.
He's two different players. It's like Michael Jordan.
He turns the switch on.
Michael Jordan, don't get me wrong. Michael Jordan was a stone cold killer in the regular season, but when it came to the playoffs, just like Michael Jordan said, "You call me Black Jesus," and that's what Michael Jordan was. And Patrick Mahomes is the same way when it comes to the NFL and the playoffs. There's two different people.
Let's throw these stats out right now as the league sits. Right now, Joe Burrow first in yards with 3,706 yards, first in touchdowns with 33 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. Jamar Chase leading the Triple Crown with 93 receptions, 1,319 yards, and 15 tutties. The next closest person is Amon-Ra St. Brown with 9.
Oh, man.
Jamar's having a heck of a season.
Incredible.
He's going to smash if he stays healthy the rest of the season. Knock on wood.
And the sad thing is, this guy
he's going to break all the Bengals records.
Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are having this outstanding year, but we're 5-8. That's the sad thing. It just
no tackling.
I'm watching it just because I'm watching. I just want to see those stats. I just want to see those stats continue to climb to them to maintain their number one statuses in their respective categories. That's all I'm really watching it for. And yes, I want them to obviously win out and get in the dance. But man, you know what? I had that preseason prediction. I don't think it's going to happen with 4 games to go now. But I said, why are we not having this conversation about Jamar Chase having 2,000 yards? Like, why are we not having that conversation?
But remember, though, during the preseason, we did say Joe Burrow MVP and Jamar Chase offensive player of the year. But unfortunately,
on a national grander scale, everybody was talking about breaking Calvin Johnson's receiving yards of 19 or 1,800, whatever it was. And only names that was being in conversation was Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill and maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown and maybe Devontae Adams. But no one brought up Jamar Chase. And I thought to myself, why? CeeDee Lamb was in that conversation too. I'm like, why in the world has nobody talked about Jamar Chase potentially bringing a 2,000-yard receiving?
I think it was because of the other weapons on the team. You think T. Higgins is going to take some of those yards away from him. CeeDee Lamb, right? I think he came into that conversation because he was the one-man show this year in Dallas, right? You look at some of those other guys. I think Waddle takes away some from Tyreek too. So, and Tyreek's definitely been injured, and he's had different quarterbacks. He's had some interesting things. But Biggie Bronco says you got to play D. You want to get those wins. And listen, you have to have playmakers in the NFL for sure. But the wins and losses normally come down to blocking and tackling.
Mm-hmm.
It's the simple things, man. It's the little things that add up to big problems for us sometimes.
Yeah. It's the storybook of the season. And overall, like I said, it's nice to get this monkey off our back and not be, in the 3-game slide. But at the end of the day, there's still questions that needs to be answered, and they're not going to be answered during the remaining 4 weeks of the season upcoming. Obviously, I said it personally. Even if the Bengals win out, I still and go 9-8. It's still a colossal failure of the season based on the expectations coming into the year. And if they miss the playoffs altogether, I still believe that the Bengals need to move on from the coaching staff with respect to understanding that you got players in their primes that needs to be able to be maximized in the majority of different levels. And the front office has to evolve. All those conversations has not changed. And quite frankly, we still need those long-term answers to be had at some point. And there still needs to be mental toughness somewhere on this team. And there still needs to be better coaching. And you shouldn't have to take a lucky blocked punt that they muffed and did not recover, that you recovered. It shouldn't have taken that to win this game. It really should.
The football gods finally came in on our way, bro. The football gods finally.
I'm not going to apologize.
We've been getting screwed all year long, honestly. Look at the damn Chiefs game. Look at the damn both Baltimore Ravens games. We finally got the ball to bounce literally in our way.
We've been bad this season, and you know what? Our L's are our L's at this point. But I can just already sense the growing conversation that's going to projectedly happen over the next few days is, if the Bengals going to run, if these two teams. No. I'm not in that mode no more right now. Don't get me wrong. If it happens and the Bengals do make the playoffs, it will be magical and be like, wow, we never can truly be counted out because of whatever. But at the same token, the sense of this team has not shown you any true promises outside of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase that they can be counted on. Simple.
Biggie Bronco said, all right, if you had your choice of coaches out there, who would it be?
Oh, man, do not get me started on this topic because I will take a whole show. But I will give you two. Personally, I'm going to go with you need veteran, mental tough head coaches that can understand that this team can be maximized at the highest level. For me, that's either Bill Belichick or Brian Flores. Those are my or Mike Vrabel. Those are my top three candidates, if you ask me personally.
I like two of the three.
Yeah, Vrabel can go kick rocks.
No,
mine would be, I'd say Bill Belichick. No, you know what? I'll take that back. Brian Flores or Brian Robinson from is it Detroit? Is that?
Yeah, the defensive. Yeah. So I have a Detroit guy as well, but mine's Ben Johnson.
You talking about Aaron Glenn?
Ben Johnson. I'm sorry, Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson's offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Ben Johnson, not Brian Johnson, but I meant Ben Johnson. Yeah.
So Ben Johnson, I'm not mad with Vrabel, but my top two would be Flores or Johnson.
Yeah.
Probably with Flores being I think my one and Ben Johnson being my 1A.
I think Mike Vrabel need to go coach Ohio State, assuming that they move on from Ryan Day or something.
So I don't think Vrabel's coaching style I think works better for the pros than it does the college. I think college kids in that age or whatever need to be pampered a little bit more, need to be coddled a little bit more. Vrabel's not a coddler. I mean, if you listen to any of his stuff on Bussin' with the Boys, those guys played with him and they ask him some pretty interesting questions. He's pretty no nonsense.
Yeah. That's what
Bill just took a college job. I know he was in the running for the North Carolina
job. Did he take North Carolina job?
According to Big E, Bronco, he took it.
Well, I saw that, but I didn't see any true reports that I can truly follow that can solidify that he took the new UNC job, honestly. I know that there's been conversation that has been had, but I'm still going to be riding the Bill Belichick train for the time being until it's officially that he's off the wagon. But at the end of the day, I mean, Brian Flores for me personally is another guy that I feel like that can install mental toughness, that understands AFC North football. And that's what you need. Don't get me wrong. I understand the flashes of the Ben Johnsons of the world, these new hot ticketed offensive coordinators that's coming into the world.
The thing I like about him though is he runs the ball. He wants the offensive line and the running backs to be studs, right? I like that, and I like that they have a tough identity, a tough-minded identity on both sides of the ball in Detroit, and I think he would bring that with him. Austin Zart said Ben Johnson or the Minter, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. Jesse Minter came from Michigan. I think his style of defense is in that McDonald style of defense. What you're seeing in your neck of the woods in Seattle, Tim, is playing some of the best football out there right now.
Yeah, the defense.
And by the way, my two defenses on my fantasy football team are the Seattle Seahawks and the Chargers, because I took both of those guys because I've seen what they can do.
I think that honestly, you just need a guy that's going to come in and be a true leader of men. And I think that you can make the push in the argument that both Dan Campbell and Jim Harbaugh are the reasons for why Ben Johnson and Jesse Minter have excelled the way that they have.
I agree.
They understand that they're going to lose coordinators. That's the thing. You got to be able to have a guy that understands that you're going to lose guys along the way. And I don't know.
Harbaugh's had a track record of his guys performing well when they go on. Mike McDonald in Seattle is definitely one of those guys. And you see their demeanor and you see how they lead with respect and stuff. So Jesse Minter might be I didn't think about that. But Flores has that demeanor too now. And I think the issues he had with Tua in Miami actually made him a better version of himself now.
Go ahead, Justin. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, my bad. I just wanted to say this real quick. I just don't want us to get into another situation where just because we get another hot commodity name that's floating around through all of the media, and then they flame out because they get figured out. Cliff Kingsbury was like that. Everybody wants to find the next Sean McVay until they get a pale of approximation of him, and they realize that doesn't work. And you can go with the retread at times. Dan Quinn. Look at Dan Quinn.
I don't think Ben Johnson runs that gadgety offense though. I think his is built off of from the middle out.
Okay.
Where I think you see some of those guys are more gadgety college type coaches. Ben Johnson's not like that, man. He's running
like
pro
Mike
step,
McDaniel.
fast football. You look at their dude. If you watch Pay Dirt this week, one of the things I'm going to keep my eye on, and it's not out yet. I like the over in the Lions Bills game. I know it's a high over. I don't care. It's going to go over. They're going to score over 60 points in that game. And I'm going to keep my eye on the running props for both running backs for Detroit, because I think they'll light Buffalo up. Yeah, Buffalo's too light in the pants in the middle of that defense.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs breaks one off. He's gone.
Yeah, I'm going to be that's going to be a great episode to tune into for Pay Dirt, because both the Lions and the Bills, they're like the two of the best teams in the NFL. Quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if I see those two teams in the Super Bowl. It's going to be there should be makings for popcorn on that show with a high scoring game.
I agree. All right, hey, closing comments before we get out of here.
I just recorded. I just did the Who Day Weekly. Did my recap and fantasy football points. I know it's not the exciting thing to do, but I appreciate you guys go over there watching and listening, whatever. On
what do you mean? What kind of sell job is that, Tim? It's the best recap that you're going to hear about the Cincinnati Bengals and fantasy football on the internet today. Go to it right now. Okay. It's super exciting.
Thank you, Brandon. Hey, I just want to tell you, have a safe trip, Brandon. We'll see you next week.
Yes, I will be out tomorrow. Justin will be driving the ship. I'll run it through the jungle. Appreciate it. Any last comments before we head out of here, Justin?
Just keep on stacking up your opportunities and take advantage of the best that you possibly can. We got 4 games left in the regular season. If the Bengals do happen to make a playoff appearance, it'll be great. But at the end of the day, man, set your sights a little bit higher. That's all I'll just say to the fans.
Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs?
There's a chance?
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to be rooting for the Bengals. Win, lose, or draw. It don't matter how good. It don't matter how bad. I'm going to be back here next week. I'll be off and running through the jungle, but I'll be back for the roaring reactions. I'll be back for running through the jungle next week. We're going to keep being Bengals fans. We're going to keep rooting them on. We're going to watch some special things happening with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. And hopefully we see some development with these young guys on defense and offense. I see some glimmers. I see some hope. So this is more about me. I'm not worried about the playoffs. I'm worried about the projection of where we're going. as far as players. I don't want us to play too well either because I kind of like to get rid of some coaches. Whatever. All right. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. If you haven't yet, last chance. Thumbs up, bell, get those notifications. Give us those 5-star reviews. Like, subscribe, and share. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tomorrow, you got Justin and Tim. Hold it down. I'll run it through the jungle. We appreciate you guys rocking with us. As always, that was our Roaring Reactions. Coach's Cliff Notes were boring again. Talk to you later.